Ireland and the Lebanese respectively, and the Welsh side preparing to be led out by Jordan James there at the bottom of your picture, who retains the captaincy despite Ben Flower being fit again. Flower, the previous captain. Meanwhile, Steve McCormack wishing his charges the best of luck before they take the field. This Scotland side unchanged from their victory over the Lebanese last weekend. And the Scots supporters have made the journey. The Welsh on home soil this afternoon, and hoping to recapture former glories. Champions of Europe in 1995, finalists in 2005. Back in the 1930s, they won this tournament 3 years in a row. And Iestyn Harris hoping that his youthful side can build and return to those days. And there is the Welsh coach, who's a busy man at the moment. After he's finished this assignment with the national side, he joins the Crusaders Rugby League coaching staff and ready to move house in December and throw in his lot with Brian Noble just up the road. But before then, he's hoping that this Welsh side can lift the European Nations Cup. But they are up against a hard-nosed Scottish side who are looking for their first major trophy. Bags of experience in the Scottish team, in the coaching staff as well. Dave Rotherham bringing up the rear there for the Scots. And the pitch, thankfully, in much better condition. They did decide not to play the Lebanon-Ireland game here, as had been planned, which was probably a wise decision. Torrential rain in South Wales last night, but the day dawned bright and sunny today. And the two teams lining up, ready for the presentations. George Fairbairn just at the end of the Scottish lineup there. Another great Scottish stalwart alongside Steve McCormack. First of all, they'll be doing the introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask you to be upstanding. We will have the national anthems in just a second.
And the coaches waiting to meet the introduction party, led by Alan Fred Jones, the Welsh Sports Minister, who's showing no bias at Millennium Stadium yesterday for Wales against New Zealand, and here at Bridgend for Wales against Scotland. Mike Nicholas alongside him, John Risman, Adam Wheatley, Rugby League Domcom Director, and Kevin Rudd, the tournament director. And you've got to take your hat off to Kevin Rudd, who does a lot of work in terms of the development European-wide of the game.
Well, I don't think we should underestimate how difficult it must be arriving in a new country and trying to introduce a new sport. That's what Kevin Rudd has done successfully now for several years.
Well, the team's lined up. Let's have a look at how they will line up on the field. Wales with Elliot Keir, fullback, Rhys Williams, Lee Williams, Christian Ruerts, Ashley Bateman, Lloyd White and Ian Watson. And the forwards, it's Jordan James who'll captain the side, Neil Budworth, Gil Dudson, Chris Beasley, Geraint Davis and Ian Webster. And on the bench, Rhys Griffiths, Ross Tivorti, Ben Flower and Matt Barron, the coach Iestyn Harris. And the Scots unchanged from their victory over Lebanon, with Jamie Bennett fullback, John Steele, Kevin Henderson, Mick Nannin, James Nixon, Brendan Lindsay and Gareth Moore. The forwards, Mitch Stringer, Andrew Henderson the captain, Neil Lowe, Alex Zostak, Richard Fletcher and Lee Patterson. And on the bench, Paddy Cooper, John Cox, John Duffy and Rob Lunt. The coach is Steve McCormack, and the introduction's completed, and it's time for the national anthems. And the Scots, who will have their anthem first, have brought their own piper, and Bobby Pinkman will play the pipes for the Scottish anthem, to be followed by the Welsh anthem with the Bridgend Male Voice Choir and Rob Allen. Pinkman doing the honours for the Scots with the pipes. And now the Welsh anthem. Rob Allen and the Bridgend Male Voice Choir. Sung with gusto, as you'd expect, by the Abercynon Male Voice Choir. And just one more formality before the game gets underway, an important one on this day, this Remembrance Sunday, when the two sides and the rest of the crowd will just stand their ground and observe a minute's silence in honour of the fallen, this on Remembrance Sunday. Shane Hayne, the referee, in charge of this game then at the Brewery Field, this RugbyLeague.com European Nations Final. Wales on home soil and going into this game on the back of that great win over Ireland last week. 12-0 down, they came back to win 42 points to 12. Meanwhile, Scotland were overcoming Lebanon in a downpour in Glasgow. So both these sides going into the game brimming with confidence and looking for international glory here as Wales get the game underway. The boot of Lloyd White. And first touch of the game for the Scots. And Scotland unchanged from that victory over the Lebanese. Iestyn Harris with a couple of selection dilemmas because Ben Flower and Rhys Griffiths were fit again, so they've been recalled, and Lewis Mills and Matt Thomas the unfortunates to drop out. Craig Kopczak is the major absentee for the Welsh, injured early on in the tournament, a knee injury that's still keeping him out. Anthony Blackwood unavailable. And the Scots with Lindsay putting the kick in and turning them around, and these in-goal areas are deep, and that one is not going to run dead.
What
and
an
Scots have
excellent
done their
start.
homework, haven't they?
An excellent start for Scotland. Every player carried the ball strongly. They got a quick play of the ball. On the front foot was the kick. All of the chases onside. Well, this is almost inch perfect, isn't it? It just curls back in the in-goal area. There's nowhere for Elliot Keir to get forward. He's trapped. And from receiving the kick-off near their own line, all of a sudden Scotland will be attacking their opponents. Just a minute into the match. Brilliant beginning for Steve McCormack's troops.
And the conditions in those in-goal areas are very soft, and they're quite deep as well. The in-goal areas, that is, not the mud. So the kicks into that zone could well be crucial. Here's Gareth Moore, and again, Scots with Henderson, and Henderson brought down.
We've seen some good power from Scotland already. Mitchell Stringer, one offload. Richard Fletcher there in number 12, just about to play the ball. He's carried it strongly. Wales need to be aggressive in the defence here.
Lindsay, Patterson taking him on his own. Tackled by Lloyd White. Steve McCormack already on the blower, sending out instructions. Here is Neil Lowe, giving up a couple of weeks' work, 3 weeks' work in actual fact in his job as a roofer and a bricklayer to wear the Scottish jersey. On the last now, little grubber kick goes in. It's not the best from Gareth Moore, and the Welsh are able to gather and then maybe work the ball away from the danger zone, but a bit of work to do. Lee Williams in possession.
I think that was well defended by Wales. They had to handle a tough set on their own line and then predict where the kick was going to come. And of course, that's the job of wingers. It's a tough position on the flank to gauge where you need to be on the last play, but they've done it, and now they're trying to carry the ball for the first time up towards the halfway line.
I want to try and have a look and see what Iestyn Harris is going to have them doing. It's a very big Scotland pack, and I think Neil, as we see it, the inside ball, it's a very big Scotland pack, and I think you'll see Neil Budworth try and get a bit of joy out of moving these big Scottish props around.
Watson was inside his 40. He's gone for a 40-20. That was an audacious attempt. It's still a good touch that Ian Watson has found, this veteran in the Welsh side, winning his 23rd cap, the longest server in Welsh colours, Ian Watson.
Well, there are a few better kickers of the ball than Ian Watson. He's just shown there, he's got out, even under pressure, he keeps the ball in play, it rolls to the sideline, and a happy conclusion for him and his Welsh teammates. He's trying to pep his side up here now. He knows they need to lift with their aggression in defence.
Lock, arms around, lock. Heading, all the way, ball in.
So now the Scots in possession. Here's McNannon just having to turn and gather that one. And that just gave the Welsh an extra split second to close up on him. And then, little hand in there, says referee Hayne. Geraint Davis, the man, I think, guilty.
Well, he couldn't resist the temptation to slow down his opponent. Puts his hand back on the ball, the referee sees it, and instantly he's penalised.
So the penalty takes Scotland inside the Welsh half. And Neil Lowe claps his hands, demands the ball from Henderson, gets the ball away, back to Henderson, Henderson for Nannin. Nannin's pass into touch, it came off a Welsh hand.
Touch, play at the ball.
And referee Hayne indicating, as just about every Scotsman did, that the Welsh player played at that ball, so the Scots will get head and feet at the scrum.
He was saying that Ian Watson actually made a play for that. You can see that it come off his left arm, went straight into touch. What they can't do, they can't give away cheap penalties, because Scotland's forwards are so big in Stringer, in Lowe. You don't want them coming at you when you're defending your own try line.
It was a half call on Ian Watson that he played for that ball, but that's the way it went. And the Scots in possession with Richard Fletcher. Fletcher playing the ball. One of the really experienced players out there, as is Lee Patterson in possession at the moment. Widner's player. Fletcher once of Widner's. Still uncertain where Richard Fletcher will be playing next season. I think still in negotiations about a move. Alex Shostak, one of the Sheffield contingent out there on the last now, and Lindsay, an Eagles teammate, and again that ball sits up in the in-goal area, just ground to a halt as it hit that muddy patch in the corner. The Scots haven't had much chance to weigh up the conditions here, but they've got that in-goal area off to a tee, haven't they?
Well, Rhys Williams seems to think there was no other option here. He just kicked the ball over the dead ball line.
I don't think there was another option, was there?
Brendan Lindsay come out 10 minutes before his teammates to practice these kicks. He knew that the pitch was going to be heavy, knew that the kicks were going to hold up in them in goals. That was definitely a ploy. Get some repeat sets at 6 and make the Welsh defend their own try line.
So a second goal line dropout from the Welsh, and Neil Lowe picks it up, regathers, beats the first line of defence, which was Gil Dudson. So the Welsh under pressure here from the word go, really. There's Mitch Stringer, another one of the Sheffield Eagles, born in Yeovil but qualifies through his Aberdonian ancestors. Gareth Moore now. Moore stopped in his tracks by some good solid Welsh defence from Gil Dudson. Gareth Moore felt that. Here is Stringer. Stringer, Lindsay, Patterson now. Patterson thought he'd seen a gap. He has. He's found Nanin, and Nanin will stretch out and get the first try of the game. Difficult to stop Mick Nanin from that sort of range. But it was the work from Lee Patterson that opened the door for him. And Mick Nanin, a doubt before the game because of a hamstring problem, gets his 5th try in the colours of Scotland.
Well, they've shown some patience here to apply some pressure and then turn it into points. They've forced 2 goal line dropouts inside the first 6 minutes of the match, and by spending so long to the opponents and coupling that with some brilliant skill, excellent timing and well-angled run here, Mick Nanin has scored the first try for Scotland. It's been a good start for the Scottish team, and they now have 4 points on the board.
Well, Nanin, and I mentioned that hamstring injury. You can see the right hammy is pretty well strapped. In actual fact, Gareth Moore has got the kicking duties, so Nanin cannot be 100% fit, because normally it would be Mick Nanin doing the goal kicking.
Yeah, normally he's their go-to man for the kicks, but we can see what they're trying to do with him. They stand him first receiver off scrums. They're probably trying to use him as a battering ram and get what they can out of him in this game. I think the thing with Mick Nanin, they'll try and nurse him as far as they can in this game. He's got to come off. Hopefully he'll done a bit of damage before that.
So young Gareth Moore, once of Leeds Rhinos Academy, with the conversion attempt, and gets 2 more points for the Scots, who've been pressuring Wales from the word go, really, and have got what they've deserved.
The platform for this try was laid by Neil Lowe and Mitch Stringer. They got the go forward. You can see here that Mitch Stringer takes the ball to the line. Patterson gets a little half rip. He knows that there's going to be support by the big fella Mick Nanin. And again, that is what you can't do. You cannot defend your own try line against this big Scottish powerful side.
Wales went behind to the Irish last week and had to dig themselves out of a hole, and they really haven't had an opportunity to examine the Scottish defence, but that's good defence there, really crowding in on Mitch Stringer to drive him back from the restart.
You know, some players lift to a different level when they're given the captain's armband, and I think Jordan James is one great example of that. I saw him talking to his players when the try was conceded. He's been involved in that tackle there now to try and force back his Scottish opponent, and he certainly leads by example when it comes to his defensive work.
And there he is in the tackle. Jordan James, once a Marine, served in Iraq. And that's a good kick, another good kick, and Elliot Keir having to go all the way back to his in-goal area again to retrieve the ball, and then flirting with danger in the sidelines there, just ducking back in field at the right time.
Well, Scotland are almost faultless, aren't they, at this point in the match? We're approaching 10 minutes. They've played aggressively, they've controlled their opponents, and they've certainly dominated the field position in this match with the excellent kicks and such an enthusiastic chase.
The enthusiasm is from Scotland at the moment. Possession heavily in favour of the Scots so far. Wales trying to do something about that now by giving this ball a little bit of width. First opportunity to examine the Scottish defence maybe. Williams it is, and a quick play the ball. They're keeping it, trying to keep it moving, trying to move this big Scottish side around. Then Watson, a little kick over the top. Back goes Jamie Benn, back 2 goes John Steele, and it's a good chase from the Welsh. That's the Scots' turn to bring themselves away from the danger zone. There is Jamie Benn, winning his 6th cap for Scotland, the Castleford Panthers player.
3, move 7!
Steele.
Now this is where Wales really want to dominate. They want to get off the line as quick as they can and take away the yardage of this Scotland side. And Ian Watson's got one of the best kickers in the game. They just put the ball behind them, make the big Scottish forwards retreat behind the ball, and ask them to get back and carry it forward like Mitch Stringer is doing now.
13, release!
Stringer plays the ball on the last. He's knocked that ball on Mitch Stringer as he got up to play it.
Well, a feature of this European Cup has been Wales' recovery after conceding points. They've worked so hard in this set. There's maybe some involvement perhaps as well, but Mitch Stringer just doesn't quite separate himself from his opponent and play the ball. They've had to do more than twice as much defensive work as their opponents, but they're doing it with real gusto.
Lock it in. Hang on, Scotland. Get your head in and patch him like a second lock.
Minutest of errors from Mitch Stringer, but it's cost his side possession. Now the Welsh with Elliot Keir.
It's good.
It's with Lee Williams now. Williams is upended. Good defence from the Scots there.
Hold. Go.
Good tackle it was from Lindsay. Watson now. Lloyd White puts the brakes on. Straight up the middle. Right in front of those posts, about 10 metres out. This is the best opportunity that Wales have had, and they get the penalty. Andrew Henderson, the Scottish captain, is the man penalised for interference at that tackle.
Away you go. Go. Yep.
Well, some nice shapes from Wales in attack, but equally some good defence. They just slowed it down for too long. Inside back to Elliot Keir.
Keir, not the biggest of guys, very slight figure, but ghosted through that pass. Here's Watson now. Watson fires the pass out wide. Thumping defence from the Scots there. And the ball's come loose. Wales have knocked it on. And great defence from the Scots. Back slapping all round there.
Well, it's Kevin Henderson, isn't it? He nails his opponent, Lee Williams. They lose the ball. And I think an error partly due to just the sheer aggression of Kevin Henderson when it came to hitting his opponent.
That was a real good choice. Yeah, Kevin Henderson, he was faced with two people. He's picked the right man and come up with a thunderous challenge, dislodging the ball.
James Nixon, first sight of him, he got 4 tries. There is Henderson, Kevin Henderson. James Nixon playing the ball. Great debut for him. 4 tries he got in the big win against Italy. And he can do some damage if he gets room to move for the Scots.
No, he's locking him in.
Sostak gets to his feet eventually to play the ball. Neil Lowe still looking to offload. Now with Hunsler Hawks, Neil Lowe. Once of Featherstone and Keithley. Lindsay just on his 30-metre line, doesn't get great distance, and Elliot Keir winning his 4th cap, back to retrieve the ball. Big day of rugby league around the Principality, and there is the Italian sides who were in action earlier on today against Serbia, and we'll have hopefully have some pictures of that later on. The ball has popped up for the Scots, another error from the Welsh. It was Lee Williams who couldn't keep a hold of it, and the Scots have it back on the halfway line with Mitchell Stringer.
Well, simple handling errors costing Wales so much at the moment. They've had to do the majority of defensive work, and they'll have to do a lot more here pretty quickly. Scotland look to up the tempo.
Andrew Henderson plays the ball. Here is Stringer. Lindsay now for Sostak. Little Sheffield combination there is Stringer, Sostak and Lindsay. Now Henderson. Gareth Moore drills the kick in. That's this time going to be a bit too strong. Skips over the turf and runs dead.
And that was an interesting play. He had numbers on the right-hand side, but Gareth Moore looking for that repeat set. Kicked early on the 3rd tackle, but he wants to play the game down at Wales' end of the park.
He's got to be careful on that. He got a bit of joy out of it last week against Lebanon. They scored a try, but he's come up with 2 today that he hasn't got results out of, and he's going to have to not keep using that play. Wales will have looked at it, scoring against Lebanon last week, and don't know how to defend that. I think he's going to mix his kicking up a little.
Wales.
That's a great sign from Lee Williams. He's come up with 2 handling errors, but he's not afraid to get involved again, get his hands on the ball. Offload now by Jordan James. Ian Watson takes it to the line. Good confidence. Scotland are penalised for not being back on side quickly enough. And how quickly Wales have gone here now from a tap on the 120-metre line. You see none of the... in fact, Neil Lowe, I think, doesn't quite get back on side. And Wales now 20 metres from the opponent's line.
Problems for Ian Webster, in fact. He put that penalty into touch and turned away, clutching his left shoulder, which he'd injured a few moments ago in a tackle. Here he is on the ball now. And Wales managing to keep it alive. The pass or the handoff really from Christian Roach, the South African who's been living in Wales for the last 8 years. And Webster coming to the sidelines, in fact, and has been replaced. So that is a blow for Wales. And Ben Flower has come on in his place. Here is Watson now. Watson. Lloyd White. Great ball out wide. It's with Ashley Bateman, and Bateman gets the try. And the first time Wales really put it together, spinning the passes out. Ashley Bateman, another one of these young, talented players, just 19 years of age, gets his 3rd try for the Welsh. He was a try try scorer against Ireland last weekend, and just maybe steadied Welsh nerves a little bit here at Bridgend.
Well, Wales have won me over because the width they like to play the game with. Previously in this set, they passed the ball across to the left wing, and then they transfer it back to the right wing. It's an excellent selection of a pass, well executed, and well finished by young Ashley Bateman on the right wing, who's had very few touches of the ball, but here, given his first chance to score, ensures he steps back inside, goes hard and low, and grounds the ball correctly. Wonderful work by Budworth, who gets out from that dummy half position, and then the brilliant passes left to right at pace against a sliding defence, and Scotland can't handle it.
Ready?
Still very much a rookie, Ashley Bateman. Just that one game for the Celtic Crusaders, but on the basis of what we've seen, maybe a few more in the pipeline. Now Lloyd White with this conversion attempt. Already landed 7 goals in his 3 internationals so far for Wales. Another one of the Crusaders youngsters. He kicked 5 from 8 against the Irish last week. Looked in pretty good goal-kicking form in the warm-up, but that doesn't matter when it comes to the actual action. He's missed with that one across the face of the post. Wales 4, Scotland 6 here in this European Nations final.
Wales have a lot of self-belief. They will throw the ball around, but Gareth Morey takes the wrong option. Look at him, he's man-watching, takes the wrong option, puts pressure on the people outside him, and that's how Wales score the try. But they will throw the ball. They will look to get that goal forward by the likes of Jordan James, by the likes of Gil Dudson, and then they'll play off the back of that, this talented Welsh side.
Oh, that's a good restart. That's found touch and caught Wales hopping. Beasley couldn't take it.
I don't know why he stood in that position. He either needed to be closer in field. You've almost got to take it on the full, but excellent restart by Scotland. Not quite had the concentration, having scored the points to cope with the restart.
All the way in, good work, Locks. Ball in. Out.
So immediately Scotland are in prime position to examine this Welsh defence. And here is Kevin Henderson, who's on a bit of a roll. He got a try against Lebanon. He got 2 tries against Italy as he plays that ball.
Dominant 2.
Paddy Cooper off the bench, straight into the action. One of the players coming through the Scottish competition. Patterson again, stepping back in field, just causing a few problems for the Welsh defence. 3 tackles gone. Nannin again, trying to bulldoze his way over, and I think he has done. Although this time, Shane Hayne isn't quite so certain, and he's going to ask for video ref Ben Thaler to have a look at this one. Nannin seems pretty certain.
Well, close to the line, it's no surprise to anybody who's watched McNannin play. He'll demand the ball in that 10-metre strip, and he'll go hard enough, I think, probably. Well, I'd like to see another angle, but I think the ball has hit the white line. Doesn't need to be over it. As long as his foot, some part of the ball touches the white line, I think he does. I think he rolls forward, and it's an instant reply by Scotland here. Having conceded, they've got the ball back, and McNannin has taken it just about onto the line.
I'll go with you on that, Phil. I think he's got it. I think if he's come up short there, it moves naturally onto the line. So I'm going to go try.
Well, there's no second movement, is there? Just the sheer weight and the power of the guy. He gets that over.
That's 3-1 against you, Bill.
I haven't said anything yet.
I think it was a look, Bill.
I'm just waiting for you guys to make a decision, then I'll go with you. It's Ben Thaler who's got the decision that matters. Has McNannin got a second try already? The Welsh are lined up as though it's going to be another tackle, but it's not, you know, it's a try for Nannin. 2 tries already for this bulldozing centre. So difficult to stop from that sort of range, and Steve McCormack's team really, I think, just working the game plan to perfection.
Well, I'm not sure whether in your game plan it's to put your opponents under a restart, but that's exactly what they did. It was one that bounced in the field, too difficult for Chris Beasley to take. You see his feet are on the line, which is out of play. And from there, 10 metres out, you've got to get off your line very quickly. Christian Roach tries his best, but he's trampled by big McNannin. And it's 4 more points for Scotland.
Gareth Moore once again doing the goal kicking. Nannin, his contribution looks as though it'll be restricted to just scoring tries for the Scots this afternoon. Moore missing with that opportunity. Scotland ahead by 10 points to 4 here.
I think if Christian Roach had his time again, he'd try and hit McNannin a bit harder. He's not gone committed into that tackle, and he's not a small man. He's got enough size to try and stop McNannin and wait for some help to come in, but he's not looked convincing in that tackle. I think if he had his time again, you try and jam Nick a bit harder.
So once again,
Okay, watch his
Wales with the restart. And of course the problems for Wales
He's dead.
in the shape of the absence of Ian Webster, who went off a short time ago with what looked like a shoulder injury. And I know Ben Pro down on the sidelines is on the case. Find out just what the situation is, because he's a key figure for the Welsh side. Ian Webster contributes an awful lot, very versatile player. And we can find out, in fact, what the situation is from Ben.
As you say, Ian Webster, the real linchpin in this Wales side. It's a neck spasm, and they're hopeful that he will be able to return before the break, but certainly he will be back involved after half-time, so not as bad as first feared.
Lindsay, good deep kick. And again, that will run all the way towards the Welsh try line. And Elliot Keir, leisurely sort of running style, bringing it back.
He's kicked it 65 metres, and the net gain from where he kicked it to where they made that tackle is about 55 metres. That's a brilliant return on the kick for Scotland, and if they can continue to do that, well, I don't really fancy Wales' chances. It's such a territorial gain that they're able to gain, and one must suspect that there is some breeze behind them.
You're right, Phil. It's all about field position this game. A couple of penalties have led to a try, then the mistake. I think that's what it's all about. You've got to control the speed of this game and play the opposition down in their half.
I can confirm it's a bit more than a breeze, it's a wind, and I'm freezing up here.
Well, they are playing with the open end of the ground behind them, the Scots. There's nothing between them and the nearby hills, really. So the wind will be blowing up the ground at the back of the Scots. And they're making good use of it. Here is John Steele. This guy knows all about international rugby. He's played for Scotland against the All Blacks. John Steele, I think, faced up against Jonah Lomu at one point in his career. Went to Hull Kingston Rovers and now at Featherstone Rovers. Here's Richard Fletcher. Oh, big hit in midfield. Fletcher.
That's 4! Move! Oh.
It was Lloyd White who put his shoulder in the standoff. Andrew Henderson now. Interesting to know where Andrew Henderson will be playing his rugby league next season, the Gateshead Thunder captain, but word is he'll be on the move. Lindsay thumps that ball downfield. Another drilled kick from the Scotland standoff. Again, they're making Wales work so hard to find any territory.
But look at that chase. He looked up, he got the ball. He's looked up, all he's seen is a blue line coming towards him. He couldn't pick a gap. He's looking for the disjointed line. And you've got to say the kicking game of Brendan Lindsay in this opening 22 minutes has been exceptional.
Scotland ahead by 10 points to 4 here at Bridgend in this European Nations final. Up to the halfway line. It's with Ben Flower. Flower plays the ball. Beasley bounces off the challenge of Lindsay, gets it to Budworth. Budworth, another one of the really experienced players out there. Came through the Wigan Academy production system, then went down to London to play his rugby league with the Broncos and then Harlequins. The kick, a good one from Watson, just turning Nixon around, and Nixon having to retrieve that. And this time it's a good chase from the Welsh.
Well, it's their turn to inflict some pain, isn't it, on those backs who, for Scotland now, have to return the ball. It's customary, isn't it? The wingers and fullback get involved early here now. John Steele takes it up. It's a very good arm wrestle at the moment. Few mistakes, end to end. Just looking for one side to crack here. An error, a penalty conceded.
Jamie Benn plays the ball. Well, another final coming up next weekend, the big one at Elland Road. It's England against Australia in that Four Nations final, and that's on Saturday at 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 2, also available in high definition HD2. The error from the Scots, meanwhile, here. The knock on.
Well, it could almost been a penalty, couldn't it, for offside? Gareth Moore in front of him, maybe not. It's
Cox was the culprit.
John Cox juggles the ball. It ends up back with Gareth Moore, who was in front of him originally. The scrum, well, it probably suits Wales. They put a nice play on earlier to get the ball to Elliot Keir. Sure, they'll look to attack again from this one.
Here's Lloyd White now.
And isn't the game really easy? You put the kick behind, you try and dominate in them first 3 tackles, so the forwards coming off real slow play the ball and hopefully force the error, which Wales did then.
Ross Devorty now. Wales about 12 metres away from the Scottish line. Here goes Budworth. Budworth, good ball, but good tackling. Great defence from Paddy Cooper there in to make the hit. Henderson, as ever, was there with the tackle on Rhys Griffiths. But Wales again going wide, and it's again with that man, Elliot Keir, and he scampers through for the try, and he spotted his opportunity. He has been everywhere so far, Elliot Keir, and now he pops up as a try scorer for Iestyn Harris's side. The coach looking calm and composed, but 20-year-old Elliot Keir has finished off with great expertise there, ghosting through so elegantly.
Well, we talked about a side cracking under the pressure. It was Scotland who came up with a mistake. Cox's handling error offered Wales an opportunity, and Elliot Keir gets his hands on the ball as often as he can. Eventually, he knows opportunities will be there, and he was the one who was able to turn this into 4 points for Wales. Excellent acceleration through the gap, dives to ground the ball, and knows that it's going toe for toe here. He just needs to make sure that he puts the points on the board.
Not sure what Gareth Moore was trying to do there. I think he was trying to call a double bluff on Elliot Keir. He's come shot out at Elliot Keir. Last minute changed his mind and drifted out, creating a big hole on his inside that Keir took with both hands.
Can you
Now Lloyd White will try and convert this one. It's another difficult kick for him. Failed with the first one from just about this spot after Ashley Bateman's try. Like the try scorer Elliot Keir, he's a Crusaders player, Lloyd White. Former Newport Titan. Has he got this one on target? He missed it. Lloyd White turns away in disgust. And kicking game could be crucial, and Mick Nannin's inability to kick could be crucial now.
People say you've got to look up and you've got to play what's in front of you. Gareth Moore took the wrong option. It's the second time he's took the wrong option. Whether he was trying to get him to turn the ball back inside, the biggest threat on the park is the man carrying the ball. And Elliot Keir, the man in your picture there, read exactly what Gareth Moore was doing and come up with a try.
He played in the last 3 rounds of the Super League season for the Celtic Crusaders, did Elliot Keir, when they had to adjust after all their imports were exported. And he's shown up well, and I'm sure Brian Noble, who's just planning as he takes over in charge of the Crusaders, Iestyn Harris, part of his coaching team, will be pretty excited at the sort of talent that he's got. Meanwhile, the Welsh are excited by the fact that they've been awarded the penalty there.
Well, they've got potential to go back to back here with tries. With this penalty here approaching the halfway line, they should put it deep. And again, just got to show what skill. There's the ball, hand on the ball. It's pulled out by Mitchell Stringer.
Wait. Go. Yep.
Ben Flower now, well, that again was a high tackle, I think, from Cox.
Trailing hand there, and in fact, Shane Hayne, just as Cox went back to join the defensive line, he did so right next to the referee, who had a word in his ear just about that lazy tackle. But it is Wales again. Short pass from Lloyd White. Geraint Davis under a little bit of pressure as he took that pass on the 10-metre line, plays the ball. They're going down the short side. It's with Lee Williams. Williams tackled again, just a couple of metres short of the line. Lloyd White for Watson. Watson, looping ball out wide. Oh, Steele went for it, almost got it, and it's been picked up by Rhys Williams. It's back to 6, says the referee. Steele got a hand to it. He would have been gone. He would have been into the distance if he got that. He didn't, and instead it's the Scots who are under pressure again. Watson drops the ball off to Ross Devorty. Devorty legs pumping the Featherstone Rovers player. Been a great season for Ross Devorty, who was with Doncaster, then to Featherstone. Now he's part of this Welsh side who are attacking the Scottish line here with 3 tackles gone. Watson puts the brakes on, almost got in a horrible tangle there. Here's Lloyd White. Good defence from the Bravehearts, the Scottish side. That's the 5th tackle. They've kept Wales out so far. Watson fires the pass in. It is a great pass. It's a try for Ben Flower. Off the bench, Ben Flower. And what a pass it was from the longest serving Welsh player out there, Ian Watson, to set up the try for Ben Flower.
Well, we saw an attempted interception Scotland, I think, knew they were outnumbered. They were wide on the flank, and John Steele took the decision to go for the ball. Pats it with the right hand, but he can't take it in with both hands. And Wales had 6 more tackles close to opponent's line. This is the pass of the day so far. It's accurate, it's fast, and it's delivered perfectly for Ben Flower. Wales now starting to dominate their opponents with some good field position, excellent pass selection, and Ben Flower ran between the players into spaces, not at faces.
Well, he missed the win against the Irish last week because of injury. Back for this one. And on the scoreboard for his first try for Wales, Ben Flower. And Lloyd White will be hoping for his first success with the boot of the afternoon with this conversion attempt. It's much more to his liking, this one. It's bang between the posts, and Wales ahead for the first time this afternoon by 14 points to 10.
And it was Ben Flower's run that he's running to Mitch Stringer. Mitch Stringer gives the penalty away, and just look at the angle of the run. Mick Nannin is caught in no man's land, and that was just a big effort. He really has stepped up to the mark this year, Ben Flower.
Yes, he's made 17 appearances for the Celtic Crusaders in this Super League season just gone. Bagged more appearances to come, that seems certain. He's already won a grand final this season, Ben Flower. That was with his side, the Blackwood Bulldogs, who he coaches, and they beat Bridgend Blue Bulls, in actual fact, in that grand final in Caerphilly during the summer. Hoping for another success here, and he's helped his side into the lead for the first time this afternoon. On the half-hour mark, Wales ahead by 14 points to 10. Here's Matt Barron, Gateshead Thunder player, who's done well, in fact, to be here because he's suffered from injury this season. Bit of a lucky ricochet for Wales there, came off a Scottish hand, I think.
I still think nice interpassing. Look at the speed now injected into the game. Budworth and the Welsh side want to roll forward as quickly as they can, inflict some more pain on their opponents, and even put some more points on the board.
Watson's kick over the top, and there is Jamie Benn to gather it. Jamie Benn really suffered last week. The word was that he was very close to suffering from hypothermia in those appalling conditions in Glasgow, the Scotland full-back. It wasn't quite hypothermia, it was probably more like trench foot or web foot. I'll tell you what, viewed from Toulouse, that game really did seem like hard work for you guys. My heart went out to you as we watched that in Toulouse
as well.
Oh, I remember now, you were there. It was a long weekend, wasn't it?
Well, Steve McCormack sent on John Duff. He wants it spicing up around the ruck.
Lindsay's kick, not maybe getting the distance that he was earlier on, or maybe the Welsh are wise to it now. That dropping back, it was Bateman back there to field the ball, but it's a good chase. Sostak was in there to make the tackle. Rhys Williams now. Here is Ben Flower, the try scorer on the halfway line.
Straight, move, Ken! Hold.
Just inside the Scottish half now as Flower plays the ball. And going down the short side, good news for the Welsh as Ian Webster comes back on the field. Geraint Davis getting a breather. Here's Ross Devorty now. Devorty taking him on up the middle and looking for an offload, looking for somebody on his inside. Nobody was there on the last now. Watson, for the first time, really hoists that one, and a bit of indecision, but Steele back there well. Just for a moment, I thought that Ben and Steele were looking at each other.
Well, a perfect kick from Ian Watson. This comes down, what, 6 inches short of the try line, and John Steele has to take the ball in the field of play, then instantly carried in goal and tackled to the ground as Christian Rotes and Chris Beasley are on top of him instantly.
A great servant to the Welsh cause is Ian Watson. Made his debut in June 1996 against France, and winning his 23rd cap today.
Here's 10.
The 5th of those against the Scots. But it's the younger generation who are doing Wales proud as well. Here's one of them, Bateman.
Here it is.
And Budworth, or Bateman's lost that ball, got in a tangle as he went to play it. Looks at the referee, hoping for a more favourable decision, but it's not coming.
Well, a reprieve here for Scotland, who've been under some pressure now for some time. We've got 5 minutes to half-time, Hooter. And then I'm sure they'll want to work their way upfield and try and go in with the lead here. It's been a concerted period of pressure by the Welsh team.
Here is Mick Nannin, and Nannin has caused problems for Wales up the other end of the field with those 2 tries, but they've recovered from that to lead by 14 points to 10. Steele now. Tackled by Christian Rotes and by Ross Devorty. Here is Neil Lowe. Lowe runs back to where the ball was played, back to where the tacklers were. Christian Rotes in there again. Here's Mitchell Stringer now.
I think Wales have been successful in this tournament, partly because of how quickly the defensive line moves up. They get back and set with the referee, and then the first 3 steps are fast ones to contain their opponents.
Duffy with the kick, it's a good one. The chase enthusiastic, and that one's just going to, only just trickling over that dead ball line. And the tap restart on the 20-metre line.
What's been very impressive, I think, Phil, about the way that they defend in this Wales side is the numbers that they're getting in the tackle. They're turning their opposition on the back, and that's why they've been able to get back to on line with the referee and get off the line. And the first 3 steps, that's what they work on. And you can hear that call from up here in the commentary.
A Welsh player down on his knees in back play as the ball is in the hands of the Welsh. Again, on their right-hand side.
And any time they seem to get there, they've got a 10-metre channel. They will take that option and go down the right side, targeting Gareth Moore.
Watson's little chip kick over the top. Devorty chasing it, but Jamie Benn there to field it for the Scots.
Well, they're making sure that Jamie Benn has to cover some ground. He was over on the far side of the field, then had to track in field. And John Steele with a strong run break through 3 tackles. Eventually, penalty against the Welsh side for offside.
I think it was the South African Christian Ruts who was the culprit.
Well, you can see that, not back in on an onside position. Matt Barron in number 17 for Wales on the field, and again, doing some good defensive work with the rest of his team.
Here is John Duffy. Lindsay now to Gareth Moore, giving it a bit of width this time, the Scots. It's with Paddy Cooper, winning his 4th cap, the Edinburgh Eagles player, well, former Edinburgh Eagles player, in fact now with Workington Town. Signed a 2-year deal, and he's also a development officer there, Paddy Cooper. Stringer gets to his feet, plays the ball. Duffy, wearing 20, John Duffy. Bit of a sizing problem with the Scott shirts, apparently, which is why 1 or 2 of them are wearing odd numbers. Pressure from Christian Rotes on Patterson, but he did well to escape that. He puts himself about as Christian Rotes.
Well, that's enthusiastic chasing it, putting the Scotland side under all kinds of pressure.
Nannin, good ball for Steele now. Steele will take him on and back inside for Nannin, and Nannin will look for the hat-trick. He'll get it. And what a riposte that is from Scotland, right on the stroke of half-time. The first time they've really attacked from distance and put the passes together. Previous 2 tries have been from close range from Nannin, but that time he finished off a great flowing move from the Scottish side to recapture, potentially, the lead here.
Well, Mick Nannin's just demonstrated why he was so important to be out on the field. He may be carrying a leg injury, but Steve McCormack knew that he needed his strike player out there to score the point. His 3rd try in the first half of this game alone. Quick distribution to John Steele, then supports back on the inside, and Elliot Keir's wrong-footed as Nannin scores just before half-time.
Steve McCormack enjoying that moment, as did the try-scorer, Mick Nannin. A hat-trick already in this game from him. If he was goal-kicking as well, he'd be on for another points fest, as he so often is. But it's Gareth Moore who has the goal-kicking duties. With half-time approaching, what a great time that is for Scotland to score, because they'd just been on the back foot, but maybe a little slip in concentration from the Welsh. And Moore has succeeded with that. And Scotland back in front by 16 points to 14 here in Bridgend.
Well, Brendan Lindsay, the Scotland number 6, has been a real quiet achiever in this half. See Big Mick Nannin, the man in your screen who scored the try. but the money ball come from him. He's had a little look up, seen that he was short, passed it to Steele, who passed it back inside to Mick Nanning.